We'll go over like the calls from last year. I was up here a couple weeks ago talking about our duplication of events and so forth that Walter so graciously brought forward and stuff. So I figured this time we'd go over just all the calls from last year, kind of where we were throughout the entire year. We're still about 70 to 80 above last year so far, year to date so far. So last year we ran a total of 2,333 calls for service. That includes everything from EMS calls. You'll see that as a 70.51%. That's everything from somebody's fallen, chest pains, heart attacks, vehicle accidents, those type of incidents. And then going around it's pretty self-explanatory for the most part. False alarms, we have 10%. That's a lot of fire alarms at the university, some of the apartment buildings that we have in town. Good Sam, for example, we've been there a few times this year already. So it's a variety of places that we go to. So that's kind of where we were last year. This kind of breaks it down into fires. Now, it says there we had 95 fires. Some people say, holy cow, we had 95 fires. Well, that includes somebody dry cooking on a stove, burning popcorn in a microwave at 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's a variety of calls within that. It just falls into that category as far as our record keeping. So sometimes it's a little obscured in a sense. But going down the list, good intent, false alarm calls. Good intent, somebody calls. It just turns out to be nothing. We'd go check the area and we go back home. So it kind of breaks everything down into numbers too on that. We keep talking about the overlapping calls. 1,166 of them, or 50% of our calls last year were overlapping. That means basically we respond to an incident, and within a couple minutes we'll have another one while we're still at the other incident. That doesn't include, like Walter, like a few weeks ago, is one right after another. This is actually on top of each other. So we have 4, 5, 6 people at a call. Now we got to fill another call with 3, 4, 5, 6 people, depending on the type of incident. So 50% of the time, and we're averaging pretty close to that right now for the year to date as well. So I don't foresee it changing too much. We got a lot of year left. So just don't know. But it's an interesting statistic because we haven't tracked it yet until we got to this new system. Busiest months. November is the busiest month. The least busy is February. There is no answer of why. It just works out that way. I would think that it would kind of dip down in the summer, but it doesn't. If you can look at May, June, July, August, it actually goes up. And wildland season last year kind of got us busy. And I would anticipate that this year is going to be relatively the same from everything that I've heard and so forth. There was actually three wildland fires around the area today. So all the way down to Soton and out in Garfield, and I forgot where the other one was, but I seen it on my screen today. So they're around. Hopefully we can get on them quickly and not have to spend hours and days. Day of the week. Wednesday is the busiest day, which again is an interesting statistic of why. I don't know if you're getting ready for the weekend on Wednesday, or it's just
bizarre.
You talk about numbers being interesting. This is interesting because it's just why. You think back and like why is that the case? Why is Wednesday the busiest day?
Hump day.
Like I said, getting ready for the weekend. Times of the day. Why is it busy at 12 o'clock noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 2 o'clock? The slowest time is 0500 in the morning. You can see it's kind of high in the evening, right around 5 o'clock, and then it kind of tapers off by midnight. So just for planning purposes in the future, this will actually come in very handy as we get more data over the years and see a trend. And I hope to, in the next year or two, is be able to compare these side by side and be able to actually really see the trend. So Some of the projects we're working on or that's been completed, the thermal imaging cameras from the grant. We just purchased 6 of them. The chargers just got here on Friday. So hopefully the city shop in the next couple of weeks will be installing the chargers. Multi-gas meters that we bought last year or at the beginning of the year is already installed. That information you just got on the previous screens is from the new and improved records management system that we have. It's just a lot of data that we haven't tracked before in this manner. It's been on paper but not electronically to be able to run a report. Updating our new response guidelines, we just got 6 of them done, which actually will help with our training aspect going forward. We're implementing those. Actually, they'll be effective July 6th once we get them signed. So working with the fleet on the new engines and Gary and you guys in the future here, hopefully, and we can move that forward. Response plans with WICOM, some of the things that we're working on is how we respond to calls, what units go. Just for example, we had a request from the University of Idaho to be able to respond to any elevator alarms with a known person in it. Beforehand, we were not dispatched to a call like that. So we have to change that response plan or actually make it in and of itself because it's new. So we're working on that. In the budget for this year, hopefully we can replace the burn containers over at Station 2, the live fire training. Those are just deteriorating over the years. They're just due.
Explain what those are, Chief, the burn containers.
Basically, they're Connex
boxes. How large they are, what they are?
10 by 40 regular Connex boxes you see on a ship or on a trailer. And basically, we cut holes in it wherever we want it, put stairs in it, put doors or not put doors. Right now, we only have exterior doors on them. We hope to integrate some of our things that our residents are actually making for our academy class, because they all have a special project they do. So like our floor collapse prop, we hope to integrate maybe that in it this time, our door prop, just to make it a little more realistic. So when you're crawling around the floor and we want to, simulate somebody falling through a floor, then we can actually do that. It's a different experience, I can tell you. So, but it's very good training for our folks because it's not something we do all the time. So the more we can get over there and use those tools, the better off we are. We're still going to burn in them this fall and probably this summer a couple times, but they're just due to be replaced. They only last really 5, 6, 7, 8 years maybe, depending on how much you use it.
These would be similar containers enhanced.
Basically, it's going to be the exact same as what we have right now.
But with new features that you don't have now.
We built the features, but we hope to integrate those into the prop.
Okay.
That's the plan now. Again, if it works out, because they're Connex boxes. So Scott's going to be working on that as long as we get the budget approved and so forth to do that. So hopefully we can do that. Currently, I'm working on the emergency operations plan for the city with the University of Idaho and Latah County emergency management director. So we got our first 65 pages done, more or less, draft done. We met last week about it. We have some changes and modifications to do. So it's a big step, big change from what we have. So hopefully we're making positive progress. Hopefully, sir. I guess I'll see. But no, and the whole thing is because previously it hasn't been a collaborative effort. The other emergency plan wasn't. So this time we sat down. I sat down with the emergency management director for the university and the county. So we all agreed that, hey, if we do it all together and work together to do it, it's going to make life a whole lot simpler. We're all going to be in the same spot anyway. We're all here together.
Yeah, that's smart.
So let's just do it together as one, and then we'll keep moving forward. Yep. The Moscow Volunteer Fire Department, been around 125 years as of next year, 2017. So we're in the process of planning a pretty big celebration next year. Probably
When do you
August,
think that would be?
probably August, September-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't really
Nice.
know yet. A lot of the folks are kicking it around of what they want to do and so forth. So we're going to make a pretty big deal over it, invite all the neighboring departments, and basically make it a whole day event from what I'm hearing right now. So hopefully we have some great folks that are wanting that's actually volunteered to kind of spearhead the whole thing, so, which is great for me.
Volunteers volunteered?
Volunteers volunteering, which that's what we do, and that's what our folks do. And going back to all the calls, there's not many volunteer organizations that can run 2,333 calls and do what we do. There's not very many at all. I hope in the future going forward at some point in time is doing some research on, what we do compared to other, that don't, that have maybe a university or have a college or something that's similar to us, and kind of comparatively look at where we're at based on their call volume and so forth. So we know what Pullman does, but their makeup is different. However, we run actually about the same amount of calls as they do. So Academy class will be coming up this fall. Actually be starting in August. It's
that one. You only got one guy?
two. It's the Academy Class 1.
Oh, okay.
We actually just,
I thought maybe you only had one guy. I was going to say, well,
Mayor, I seen your name on the list for the Academy. So, but no, we had one class, the online class. We actually started just before the first of the year.
I'm good with numbers. I don't know if there's a fire hose. I'll tell you that right now. Jeez.
And those guys are actually finishing up. We have 6 of them that completed the online course, which is totally different than what we've done so far. They'll be done in July. So we're actually going to graduate them when we graduate the other class this fall. So that way we do one big ceremony for everybody. And a lot of our all the 6 are regular volunteers.
That's a fun day.
So they wanted to try it and do something a little bit different. But the incoming class, residents, we're going to have 6 new ones. We have people coming. I had another gentleman apply today to be a volunteer, so those type of folks will be coming into the class. So hopefully we can get 10 or 15 folks into the class this year. So training, multi-company stuff, multi-agency. We're working with Pullman maybe to do a multi-agency training of some kind. We've actually brought our ladder actually over to Pullman. Colfax brought theirs up to Pullman, and they kind of compared ladders and what they have, what they don't have, and what they can do, what they can't do. So that was 2 months ago that we did that. And then live fire training, we hope to have more of it and do it with other folks as well. The invitation's open to everybody around to use our facility. The Potlatches, the Troys, the Dearys, the Genesees, everybody's more than welcome to use it. And then, so yeah, it's fun to go over and burn. So, the fund drive will be this fall for the volunteers. And their fund drive this year has been very, very successful. They've collected about 111% of their anticipated funds. So, I tell you what, like I said, what the volunteers doing as great as they do, and they're out, participating in events and stuff, just like Mr. Kimberlin said. I mean, we had a ladder, a rescue, the fire safety trailer, Joe's vehicle, and not sure if there was something else over there, but the Bear ambulance was over there. So that was all staffed by all the volunteers. So they just keep going and going and going. Some days it's harder than others, but it's expected. But the job that they do, the commitment that they have, far exceeds what we could even expect. So, I mean, my hat's off to them for the amount of time some of these folks put in and stuff. So, I'm just pleased to be here with them. So, the ambulance company put in service a new ambulance 44, which is called the Bear ambulance. So we have the University of Idaho ambulances, which is ambulance 41. So this one got painted red and red and black, and in honor of the high school, the Bears. Rumor has it that the next one is going to be interesting in itself again. So I can tell you it's not going to be a Bear, and it's not going to be the University of Idaho. So I don't know what they're really looking at.
Well, let's hope it's not at Boise State. I'm pretty sure that
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be.
Hope it's not purple either.
But just, last but not least, the volunteers, like I said, the amount of time that they spend, meetings and stuff, and I just sent out a engine specification to some of them. Already got information back from one of them. I just sent it out on Friday, and the specifications are 89 pages, and I already got feedback from one. So, I mean, it's that kind of stuff that, they're really interested and really participate, some more than others, but time allows what time allows. But, we couldn't obviously do what we do and get the time that we have without them. So and I appreciate all you guys supporting everything that they do and the funds you provide and the equipment we buy and all that. So it's much deserved to them, that's for sure.
Well, fire department does a great job, and the volunteers, and this whole community is very engaged in it, Brian. So, Walter?
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, you mentioned 10% of your calls are false alarms. About 5 years ago, we instituted a false alarm fine system in the city in an attempt to reduce the number of false alarms, and my memory is that it did so, that we do not fine every time we get a false alarm, but we're looking at patterns or places that can't seem to figure out how to get their smoke detector fixed, and it keeps going off, and you have to roll equipment through town, in the best way possible, but still dangerous to run a fire truck through the middle of a red light. Are we still instituting the fines as needed, and are we, making any progress in driving them down?
Yeah, I mean, in talking to Joe about it, they've came down significantly, and we don't find that much. Actually, we sit down and meet about it fairly regularly, of where and why it went off. It's a little different than just constantly going off all the time than it is somebody burnt a piece of toast, which is not uncommon. Now, if it's 4 trips burning toast, then they're probably going to get fined, get a ticket for it. But and that's the whole point of the tracking system, is we can track those things a little bit better. But 10%, I mean, false alarm calls, 10%, that's actually that's not overly bad. Could it be better? Sure. But it's not from what, like you said, it's not the extreme like it was before. But I think it has helped.
Jim?
Of those false alarm calls, what percentage of them would you say are like intentional prank false alarms?
Not very many.
Very
a lot
low
of them
percentage.
are burnt toast, burnt popcorn.
Hairspray?
There's been hairspray in one of the buildings over by the university. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, it's we don't have very many that are actual pranks.
Gina, do you want to say something?
Hairspray what? Help me understand, sir. Like,
Because you spray it on your hair, of course.
yeah.
And there's a smoke detector right above you, just by where the mirror is, and a dressing table, I guess you would say, a counter,
Okay.
and it's right above you.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I move a lot, I don't want that to happen anymore.
Could be dangerous.
But no, there's not very many that are actually maliciously just going over and pulling the firearm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Chief, for a wonderful report, and we all appreciate what the
Appreciate
volunteer
it, Chief.
Yes, sir.
fire department does. Thank you again. Kudos